For a number of experiments, we'll be using the tracker software. The tracker software is a way to analyze video and get data from video. So as we're doing experiments that involve motion of objects, we can record a video, put the video into tracker, and track the motion of whatever it is we're looking at. So for the first lab, it'll be a free fall experiment. Now I have the tracker program up. To get tracker onto your computer, from the Moodle page, there is a link to the tracker video analysis software. And when you open that, you'll see that you can put it onto pretty much any platform that you might have. You can go through the installation information that's here. There's background and tutorials linked from here. So if this video doesn't give you enough information, there's more information on the link. So a quick start guide and a getting started with tracker, a bunch of different videos that you can go through, or you can just ask me questions and I can help you troubleshoot it. Also, our help desk has had some experience helping me get tracker onto students' computers. So if you run into some technical difficulties, you can also ask the help desk and they should be able to help you out or at least point you in the right direction. Okay, so let's assume that you have tracker up and running on your computer like I do here. This is what the interface looks like. To start analyzing a video, you need to have a video. So I have a video in this folder of a tennis ball in free fall, and I want to put it into tracker. I can do that just by dragging it into the box, and it'll take a minute to load, and then once it's loaded, the video will appear right here. Now you'll see that it's loading frame by frame, so it's breaking the video into individual frames. Okay. You might get an error message like this. Something happened as it was uploading them. I'm not sure the technical details of what's behind this, so I'm just going to click OK. And we have sort of a problem here that it uploaded the video sideways. It will always upload your videos in widescreen, I believe. So if you take it like I did in portrait mode, it'll be sideways. Now this problem is addressed in the lab handout. So if you go down to the using tracker section, it talks about that issue. Go to video filters new rotate. So video filters new rotate. So, video filters new rotate. Now this is the top of my video. I want to rotate it this way, so I'll click the -90 button, and now I have my video in the right view. Okay, so when you start the video, play it, you'll see the video, and it's playing it frame by frame in slow motion. So nothing's happening yet. Eventually you'll see me knock the ball off the top and it will fall to the ground. I promise it's going to happen. Okay, there. Now it's starting to fall. So I clicked pause. This is where the video is in its process. So the whole thing was only a few second clip, but in slow motion it took a while to get to that point. You'll find this with your videos. So before uploading into tracker, I would recommend cutting down your video to just what you want to analyze. It'll save you a little time and make it a little bit easier to upload it and do the analysis. If your range on the screen from where it starts to where it ends is bigger, it'll be a little bit easier to maneuver. But I didn't really carefully do this, so I need to adjust from the starting point to where it hits the ground. Now the little black cursor here, that's the starting point, the start frame. So I can drag this over. It's a little slow to react. And I can move this to where exactly the ball starts moving. So let me step forward one frame at a time. So this button here tells me how many frames I step forward by. So I want to get it once it's off the edge of the... Okay, so now it's over the edge of the cabinet and starting to fall on its own. So this is really where I want my start frame to be, here. And so I want to move this over to here. Okay, so now that's my starting point. And anytime I click back on the video, it'll come back to that point. So if I play, I can see the ball in motion as it falls. I can pause it. And if I go back, it should go back to that starting point rather than back to the beginning of the video. All right, so that's a useful thing to do, is to set your slider here to exactly the first point you want to start measuring. Now, in order to track the motion of the ball, I need to create a point to follow. So I'm going to create a point mass. Okay, now it doesn't look like anything happened yet, but it's bringing up a little marker that I can use to track the motion of this object. Okay. So if I select it, I can change its name if I want to. So instead of calling it mass A, I can call it ball. So now it represents the ball. And to track the motion of the ball, you use the Shift key and then click on where the ball is. Now, my video is still set right here on the starting point. I have a graph, the position versus time graph here, X versus T, and it automatically is going to generate a table with the values. Before I can track the motion of the ball, I want to set up a coordinate system. But I'm not going to do that yet. I'll just use whatever the default is, and then I'll change it so you can see how that works. So to track the motion of the ball from the starting point, I click Shift, and it turns into a little box. And then I center it on the ball and click, and it will put a marker there, and it advances the frame by 1. And so I do the same thing again. Shift, click, Shift, click, Shift, click. And every time I'm just going by kind of where the center of where the ball is. It's a little bit blurry because the camera wasn't quite fast enough to keep up with the motion of the ball. So it's actually moving while the shutter is open. But each time I'm doing the same thing. Shift and then click. And on the right, you should see that the graph is getting updated and the data is getting updated as well. Okay, maybe one more. There. So now I have a sequence of data points, 14 data points as it fell. And you'll notice that the dots are getting farther apart. That's because the ball is accelerating. And so we should be able to discover that in the data. But right now, the data is not good. The times are fine. It knows the time correctly, but this number here isn't calibrated yet. I need to put in a scale to tell it what this height is. And that button is right here. So if I click on this, I can add a new calibration stick. So the little blue button with the 10, calibration stick. And now you need to know the size of something in the video in order to calibrate the lengths. And it gives you the instruction shift click to mark the end of the calibration stick. I measured the height of this cabinet. So shift and I can click on the top, and shift and I can click on the bottom. And now it gives me a calibration stick, and it'll put a number in here in meters. I measured this to be 71 inches. So let me convert quickly. 71 inches to meters. It's 1.8034. And so in here, I will write 1.8034. And now you see the numbers here updated. And now they're in correctly meters because it knows the calibration. However, I've got some minuses going on, and so I should probably put my coordinate system in a better location. So let me put a coordinate system on here. Was that where you click? Or no, this is where you click. Right here, this button will overlay the coordinate system, and it'll show you where it is centered. So the center right now, the coordinate system is here. And let me put it on the ground. Over here. It doesn't quite matter. I would like to line it up so that it's in line with the dots. And I probably wasn't perfect in clicking where the dots are. But roughly here it looks like is where the ball will land on the ground. Okay. And the advantage of doing that is now my x values, my y values will be positive numbers. So it starts up at 1.848 meters from the floor, and it's falling down. So essentially I have the data that I need over here, and what I can do is adjust what columns is plotting. So I'm in table view right now. I want to stay in table view. If I click the word table, it will bring up a menu of what variables you can include. Now the X direction, this direction, I'm not that interested in this experiment, so I can take that off. I'm really only interested in Y, but in some experiments you will be interested in both. Likewise, I'm not interested in the velocity or acceleration or anything that's happening in the X direction, so I don't want any of these. But I am interested in the velocity in the Y direction, and you'll see that those numbers are negative, and the acceleration in the Y direction, and you'll see that those numbers are negative. And I haven't probably done this as carefully as I could, and so you'll see that these numbers are varying quite a bit. But they're giving numbers in the right ballpark of what the acceleration is. This is the data that you can use for your experiment. So essentially that's everything I wanted to cover with Tracker. You drag a video on, you rotate it if you need to, you set up a calibration stick, you set up a coordinate system, and then you use shift and click to, and then you add a point to follow, so you create a point mass to follow, and then you shift and click to update the points. You can go back and edit. So if I go back to the beginning of the video, it'll take a second, I can move around the point to better center it on the ball if I didn't have it very centered. I can also zoom in, so I can do a better job of that as well. So let me zoom in to 200%. Okay, so let me go back one. And you see I didn't really place the dot as well as I could, and so now I can make that adjustment a little bit and advance to the next one. That one looks a little bit better, and you can go one by one and make small adjustments to these, and you should find that your data gets a little bit better as you center the dot on the way down. Okay, if you have any other questions, just please let me know, and I am happy to help troubleshoot whatever comes up.